Hi guys, it's Nika. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone is doing okay. I am in a very good mood today because I woke up and there is snow outside. I'm sitting here wrapped in my blanket and the Christmas lights are on and it's still a little bit dark outside, so the vibes are just perfect. I feel like I'm in my natural habitat. And just as I said that, it started getting a little too warm under the blanket, so I put it away. Anyway, before we get into the build, I have an announcement to make. So when this video goes live, it is December 3rd and it is the first Advent Sunday. And I decided that for every Sunday until Christmas, so this Sunday and the 2 Sundays after that, and then finally on 24th of December, I will be hosting a giveaway on my Twitter. The giveaway post with all the information about what you have to do to enter the giveaway is scheduled on 7 p.m. my time, which is an hour after this video goes live, so stay tuned, stick around and enter if you don't have the pack that I will be giving away today. Actually, I think it's a kit today, and after that it's packs. I'm not entirely sure right now, but hey, this way I can't tell you what packs I'm giving away because I don't even remember it myself, and it's a surprise for you to find out. Give it a try if you don't have the packs that I will be giving away, and may the odds ever be in your favor. I'm sorry, I'm still very much thinking only about Hunger Games. I'm back in my Hunger Games era. I'm having a really strong Hunger Games brain rot, and I wouldn't have it any other way because I really love this series. Anyway, so good luck in the giveaways, and now let's talk about the build. So today I am renovating a build that I used years ago in my yellow generation of Not So Berry. But I am not renovating it for the yellow generation Sims. They have unfortunately been long dead and they will not be coming back. But currently, where I am with the legacy, I've been stuck. I talked about that yesterday. I've been stuck like between Gen 9 and Gen 10. There is a certain storyline that I really wanted to do and I didn't. So at this current point in the legacy, someone else is living there, and I think when you look at the color scheme that I'm using alongside yellow, which I wanted to sort of keep because it's like to remember the original owners of this house, but alongside this yellow there is a lot of red, and that tells you everything you need to know about who is living there. And when you see the basement and the room in the basement, you will know exactly who this is for. It's partially a spoiler, I'm now realizing. If you've read the legacy, you know that this sim went away at the end of Gen 7 and then came back around like halfway through or in the second half of Gen 8, and so you know that he is back, but he is living somewhere else in the beginning of Gen 9. This is kind of a spoiler for a thing that happens in Gen 9 when he's like, okay, so I will be moving back to my daughter's old house and I will be renovating it, I will be rebuilding it, and I will live there because that's my home. Okay, I will stop being confusing and mysterious because I feel like spoilers for a Sims Legacy don't really hurt that much. Basically, my vampire sim Ross will be living here. He actually lived there with his husband way back in the beginning. Well, he's been living there. He had lived there with his husband, starting the Grey Gen, because Sunset and her wife Dawn, they had to go away, and the vampire husbands offered they would look after Claudia and Crystal. Claudia and Crystal are Rose's granddaughters, so they moved in with them, and then they just stayed in the house until they broke up in Gen 7. Yeah, that was a storyline that I did, and I'm not happy about it. But in my defense, I was mentally not in a good place. And I am fixing what my more depressed self did. So yeah, the vampires lived here for a few generations. Then some troubles started happening, and Ross went away. Eventually, Caleb left his house as well, so it was abandoned for a few decades. And then Ross returned to his descendants. And in the beginning of Gen 9, and for a huge part of Gen 9, he is living somewhere else. But eventually he realizes he really wants to go back to this house, because this house feels like home to him. And also I feel like part of him really misses his husband. Like, Ross went away to figure out how he feels, and he went away because he kind of needed to find himself again, let's say, find out again what he is on his own, because he had found himself defining himself as Caleb's husband. Like, he was really dependent on him, I would say, and he started to feel like he was dependent on him in a way that is not healthy. And like I said, they had some troubles, and so yeah, he went away to figure it out, to figure everything out. And at the point where he is in the legacy again, he knows what he wants, and I would say the way he feels about his husband, or well, ex-husband. He's not an ex-husband. They never got a divorce. They just got separated. Yeah, I feel like when he returns, the way he feels about Caleb is much more healthy. I would say, I don't know. That breakup storyline was a mess. And on one hand, I still feel like a breakup for them isn't unrealistic, because definitely, even though I love them and I love the way they love each other, there are definitely some unhealthy aspects in their relationship. And yeah, so I don't think that a breakup is unrealistic, but also I don't think it's something that I necessarily had to do with them. I don't know, I think about it a lot, and that kind of gets us to why I am renovating this house and what I will need it for. Because I decided that before I start the blue generation of Not So Berry, I will go back to Ross and Caleb and I will sort them out. How will I sort them out? Will they get back together? Will they not? What will happen? I will not tell you yet, but that was my goal way back when I finished the green generation. I was like, okay, it's Ross time. And I started writing this little story. I renovated this house for the first time for this purpose. I took a few pictures in the house for this storyline, and that's all. I never finished it. I never finished working on it. And originally, this house renovation used a lot of CC. And as I already said in yesterday's video, I currently have 0 build by CC in my game. I'm not using it. I'm not really interested in using it, except for maybe like CC wallpapers. I probably would really like to use those. But yeah, 0 CC, which means when I loaded this house, it was in need of another renovation. So that is what I'm doing today, and it's honestly for the best, because I think I like this renovation even more than I like the original one. When I was renovating this house, I was thinking a lot about how I will approach the story. Because one thing I didn't say in this video yet, but I think it's kind of obvious, I want to go back and actually finish this story, write it, and move on to the Blue Gen. And I was thinking, will I still use the screenshot that I took about a year ago, or will I just start over? And currently, I'm thinking I will just start over. I will rewrite it a little bit. I will take screenshots for those scenes again, and it will be for the best. And not just because if I kept the old screenshots, the house and everything would look very different after a few scenes. It's also because part of me would really like to rewrite those first few scenes. I started writing this story when I was still in university. I remember sitting on the train and writing the story in my phone. And you've heard enough about my experience in university. And especially at the end, I was really miserable. My depression was really bad and it was untreated. I was not on any meds because nobody really felt like there was anything wrong with me. Everyone pretty much just thought that I was lazy and I didn't want to go to school. And my therapist also at the time thought that there's nothing wrong with me and I'm just shy and insecure, and that's why I'm scared of school. And anyway, it was a terrible time, and it was even more terrible because no one believed me how terribly I felt. But that's when I started writing this story, and it really shows how down I was. Because this story is written in Rose's point of view, first person, and I really projected my own terrible depression on him. I made him so terribly, deeply depressed. And on one hand, it makes sense, I guess. On another, at that point in the story, he had so much to be happy about that I don't feel like he would be this depressed. He would be sad about a lot of things. And he would have this, like, I don't know, eternal sadness about him because he is a vampire, you know, immortal, and all his old friends are dead and gone and stuff like that, and everything changes and he remains the same, you know, stuff like that. But I feel like he would not be this depressed. That was really just me projecting my own grief and depression and sadness and fears and all that, and I don't really want to talk about that. But yeah, looking back at it, I feel like I need to write those scenes again and sort of set it more in the way that it's like, yeah, I'm happy, but there are some things that are making me sad, rather than I'm depressed and it's a wonder I have not stepped into the daylight yet. Oh my god, I almost said a Taylor Swift reference. Actually, can we talk about that? Daylight is one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs, and sometimes I think about how Step Into the Daylight and Let It Go, how that would be an interesting line for a vampire who's just tired of his eternal life, and he's just like, okay, I'm gonna step into the daylight and let it go, and he steps into the daylight and poof, he's ashes. I don't know, just a random thought that I just said. But yeah, I would like this story, long story short, I would like this story to be less depressing. There will be some angst, there will absolutely be angst, but I really don't want it to be as dark and gloomy and sad and depressing. I feel like it was something I needed to write back then, but it's not really what I want to write today. Like, honestly, I feel like I'm not mentally ill enough to write that, which sounds really bad, but yeah. Yeah. Let's leave it at that, I guess. I like to imagine that the family meets up here in this house and they hang out together and they have like family dinners and stuff like that. Because Ross is a very beloved member of the family. He's that weird vampire immortal ancestor, but everybody loves him. I would say. And he really loves them. Like, this is one of my favorite things about him. Back in Gen 2, he totally didn't seem like the family type. He kind of neglected his daughter for the first few years of her life, but then he turned it around and he realized what a treasure his daughter is. And that kind of continued. He was very fond of his granddaughters, and then he was always looking out for his great grandchildren and honestly giving them unsolicited advices, but he really meant well. And he was always sticking around the family and looking after them and making sure everything is okay. And he was totally spoiling some family members because he just was even more fond of them. I will probably mention this again in another video later this month, but he got especially attached to Pastel, the Peach Generation heir, because she kind of reminded him of his own daughter, and her relationship with her parents reminded him of how poorly he treated Sunset in the first few years of her life, and he really wanted to be there for Pastel, kind of to, I guess, also make up for what he himself did wrong. I don't know. I feel like when I open the safe again, I should add the family-oriented trait to him, because the guy is definitely family-oriented, and I love him like that. And man, what a character development, am I right? When you read the descriptions of each not-so-berry generation, I feel like the Rose generation is one of the least likable. Like, you look at it and you're like, wow, this sim is kind of going to suck. And it's true, Ross sucked too for a very long time in his generation, but somehow I got attached to him and I gave him a chance, and yeah, the character development is crazy and I love it. And yeah, I know I kind of wrote him like that, and that I did that, but I don't know, man, I wasn't even really paying attention to it. It just sort of happened on its own, and I was just pulling the strings, and yeah, I don't know. I just love him. And I am rambling a lot, so maybe it is time to go. We still have a few minutes, but I feel like I wouldn't come up with anything coherent. So yeah, I'm just gonna go. I hope you like this renovation. It will be, actually it is already available on my Patreon for free. So if you like it, you can go download it. It's CC free, although in the video I'm building, or like you can see the, let's say, full version, which has some CC there, because I have some custom paintings and stuff that I made specifically for my Sims, but that's not included in the version that is up for download, so no worries. Where was I? I was already saying goodbye, wasn't I? So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, I hope you like this build, and if I don't do this storyline that I told you about, feel free to hold me accountable and cancel me next year if I don't do it. Actually, please don't cancel me for that. I'm going to go now. Please don't cancel me. That was a joke. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys, and I will see you all next time. Bye everyone!